Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. All right. And I also want you to do me a favor. Just pause this video right now and go over to my other YouTube channel. That's Curry Fences on YouTube, and subscribe to that channel as well. Trust me, you won't regret it. All right. So for today's video, we are looking at the option section. So for the option section, you'll be given three choices to choose one: communications, consumer affairs, and tourism. So out of those three questions, you'll be asked to select only one to answer. So this is part 2 of the 2019 paper 2 for social studies. So today's video, we are going to discuss the questions and answers for this paper. All right, so let's look at question 5. That is the question that deals with communication. All right, so it reads, the influence of the global mass media on Caribbean people. Prepare a speech on the topic above to deliver at a youth assembly. In your speech, define the term mass media. State two forms of the global mass media. Explain two ways in which the global mass media influence the behavior of young people in the Caribbean. Suggest three strategies that the Ministry of Culture in your country may use to reduce the influence of the global mass media on the people of the country. Explain why each strategy you suggested is likely to be successful, and that's for 20 marks. All right, so you'll be writing an essay here. Remember that essays for social studies is not the same as in English language, where you will be required to write a thesis, an introduction, and a conclusion. For social studies, you only answer what you are asked because you don't get any marks for the fluff. All the marks are specific. So explain two ways in which global mass media influences the behavior of young people. That's for 4 marks. Giving a definition for mass media, 2 marks. State two forms of global mass media. That's for 2 marks. So there's 3 strategies the Ministry of Culture can use. That's 6. Justifying the strategies, that's 6. So 6 and 6, 12, and 4, 16, 2 there, 18, 2 there, 20. All right. So therefore, you only answer what the question asks you specifically. All right, good. So it says, in your speech, define the term mass media. So you can begin by saying, mass media is technology that is intended to reach a large audience, right? Go with a simple definition that covers all the areas. Don't try and go for anything elaborate because in the exam, you might not remember. You may not be able to remember in the exam. So go for something that is very simple that you can remember. All right. So each part of the question you indent. Do not skip a line. Just indent away from the margin and start your answers using complete sentences and explain where appropriate. Next part of the question says, explain 2 ways in which the global mass media influence the behavior of young people in the Caribbean. How does the mass media influence young people? How do you think mass media may have an impact on you or may encourage you to do something or not to do something? All right. Before we go there, I didn't look at state 2 forms of the global mass media. So global mass media includes newspapers, magazine, radio, TV, and what we love the most, the internet. So let's look at its influence now. The influence can either be good or bad, but a lot of times the influence of mass media is usually negative, but it can also be positive as well. So forms of influence include mass media may make it normal to eat junk food, right? So like fast food like Burger King, KFC, Popeyes, those kinds of foods that if you consume a lot of it might not be healthy on your body. The mass media might influence you to eat these kinds of foods by, how it is promoted as if it is A-OK and it is highest on the healthy list. Good. Mass media might also influence young people to drink alcohol, take drugs, engage in risky sexual behavior, right? Because it is always in your face and it is put forward in a way that makes it seems as if it is okay and nothing is wrong with it and it's not risky and it's the in thing, it's the cool thing. So it's the way that how it is packaged. So it might seem as if it is the cool thing to do. All right. Other influence can be mass media can influence young people to become good citizens. So mass media can tell you the good things that you can do so you can be a world class or a model citizen. And that is a positive, right? Mass media can purport false information and give fake news and people can run with it. Case in point, many times we see where the death of celebrities are announced, and when people start spreading it like wildfire, when you check it out, it is fake news and it is not real, right? Mass media too can put forth bias or hateful attitudes towards groups of people and influence you to hate those groups of people too. Case in point, political preference, right? Mass media might put forward good things about one political party and very damaging things about one party, and that influences you which one to vote for, which one to like, which one to dislike. Good? All right. Next question says, such as 3 strategies that the Ministry of Culture in your country may use to reduce the influence of the global mass media on the people of a country. Explain why each strategy you suggested is likely to be successful. Many times students fall down on the second part that says explain why each strategy is likely to be successful. So they give the point, but they don't justify. So what I'm going to encourage you to do as you give point 1, you put the justification right there. So yes, the point 1 is this, and this will work because, all right, let me give you an example. Sorry, reducing influence. Parents need to talk about media influence to their children, right? For example, if you realize that your son likes to play Grand Theft Auto, which is a very violent game, right? You talk to your son about the influence that kind of violence, if consumed over a long period of time, may have on him. This is likely to be successful because then the child can know right from wrong and can know that indeed mass media can have an influence on him and cause him to take certain actions. But when this is talked about with the child, if he feels like he's being influenced, and he can speak to you as the parent, or he knows what is right from what is wrong. So that's the point, and giving the justification. Good. Another solution is to teach students how to solve problems or to reduce the influence that mass media will have on them, right? So when you properly socialize these children, then as they grow, that influence that you have had over them will still be there. So even if they are going to be influenced by the mass media, then they will say, no, my parents say this and my parents say that. Not only that the parents say this and that, but they see the relevance or the importance that you as a parent, as instilled in them. Good. Teach to reduce mass media influence. Children need to be taught how to identify bias and to distinguish between fact and opinion. So if they are being influenced in a particular way, they must be able to say, no, man, this influence is biased because it's coming from that point of view. Whenever it is fake news, they can say, no, man, this is an opinion, or this is false and this is not fact. This is likely to be successful because the student now, sorry, why am I saying student? Because I'm a teacher. The child now will be able to think for him or herself and think rationally in order to make good decisions. All right, so we are finished with the communication questions. If you have other answers, you can post them in the comment section. All right, so now we are going to look on the consumer affairs question, right? Consumer affairs, is usually the most difficult question. So my advice for you is to select the tourism question. And when we get to that question, we're going to realize, right, tourism question is usually the easiest, right? The consumer affairs is usually the hardest question, because if you're not business savvy or you don't do like POB and some form of accounts, some of the technical terms you might not be able to understand. But if you are bright enough and you feel like consumer affairs is your strongest point and it's your best topic, then you can go ahead and do it. But for me, I always tell my students, consumer affairs should be last resort. First is tourism. Good. All right, let's look at consumer affairs now. So it says devaluation, its impact on the consumer. Write an essay on the topic above. Begin your essay by defining devaluation. State 2 ways in which devaluation affects consumers. Then outline 2 reasons the government of a country may have to devalue the currency of the country. Then state 3 strategies consumers can use to cope with the effects of devaluation on their spending power. Explain why each strategy you suggested is likely to be successful. Again, we're going with the same strategy. After you give your strategy or your point, you justify same time. So all 3 points must have justifications. Good? All right. So first part says, begin your essay by defining devaluation. Devaluation is the deliberate downward adjustment of the value of a country's money relative to another currency, right? So for example, in Jamaica, our currency has been severely devalued compared to the US because one US dollar is like 154 Jamaican dollars. So our currency is severely devalued. Good. Next part says state 2 ways in which devaluation affects consumers. Right? 2 ways in which devaluation affects consumers is 1, when there is devaluation of the country, imports become more expensive, right? Then next point is that exports become cheaper and manufacturers may have less incentive to cut costs and become more efficient. Therefore, over time, cost may also increase on locally produced goods. All right. There's a third one. There might be a fall in wages because of inflation, and it gives the consumers less spending power. So they asked for 2 and I gave you 3. Next part says outline 2 reasons the government of a country may have to devalue the currency of a country. Many times governments devalue the currency because it is advantageous to them. That is what a lot of citizens in Jamaica are arguing now, that the government is deliberately devaluing the currency because there are advantages to do so. 1, devaluation makes imports more expensive. So governments think that with this, then locals may be more willing to support locally made goods even more than before, thus helping the economy, because you know that the more producing is done locally, then it's the better for the economy, because that means consumers will purchase and also exports will be increased, which is earning for business people and for government. Another reason governments may reduce or devalue the currency is higher exports. This will give higher exports and less imports, right? And this in turn will reduce the current account deficit. You might be wondering, what is account deficit, right? This is the value of goods and services a country's imports that exceeds what it produces for export. So if what they're importing exceeds what is exporting, it means that more money is going out than what is coming in, then you're going to have an account deficit, right? So with the devaluation, it might help with the reducing the account deficit. So that is why governments may devalue the currency. Understand? All right, let's look now at the next part of the question. It says that state 3 strategies consumers can use to cope with the effects of devaluation on their spending power, and then you justify each strategy. All right, strategies consumers can use. 1 strategy a consumer can use is to prepare a budget, right? This will help the consumer to see how much he or she is spending on a weekly, fortnightly, or monthly basis. The budget will help you to cut costs and to reduce waste where necessary, because you might realize that you're spending $5,000 there and that might not be a necessity, so you can cut back there, because remember that your spending power would have been significantly reduced because of the devaluation of the dollar, and we've already explained why in the first part of the essay. All right, good. Next point is that the consumer can get a higher paying job. This is like to be successful because inflation will be increased as a result of the devaluation. So when they get a higher paying job, it means then that you as a consumer will get a greater spending power. So you'll be able to afford the same things that you could have afforded before the devaluation, or now you can afford more, or you can save more. You can go upon your little pleasure, leisure, little rendezvous them even more, because then you would have greater spending power. So that is why it will be successful. Another thing that a consumer can do is to grow their own food in their backyard garden. This is likely to be successful because if you grow certain things that you might need, for example, cash crops like you plant a callaloo, your tomato, your scallion, your onion, your ginger, it means that when it is reaping time, you won't have to buy those things at the market, right? You can also raise your own chickens, raise your own goats, raise your own pigs, right? So then you can save money, because when it is time, when you reap them or you slaughter those animals, right, you don't have to buy them, and then it can be subsistence, and whatever is left over, you can always sell them to friends and family members. Great. All right. So that's simple and quick. So we are done with the consumer affairs question. So now we are on to the tourism question. For me, this is always the easiest question. Good. So it says Caribbean tourism in the age of the internet. Write an essay on the topic above. Begin your essay by stating what is meant by the term tourism product. State 2 examples of non-traditional tourism products that are being offered by Caribbean destinations. Describe 2 factors that contribute to the development of tourism in the Caribbean. Suggest, giving full details, 3 ways in which tourism entities in the region can use the internet to increase tourist arrivals. Explain how each way you suggested is likely to be successful. So again, we give the ways, then we justify them. All right, let's begin. So it says that what is meant by the term tourism product? Tourism product is a range of experiences people get while traveling. One simple definition. Now it says state 2 examples of non-traditional tourism products that are being offered by the Caribbean destinations. Traditional tourism products include sun, sea, and sand, right? Outside of that, all of those would be non-traditional or emerging tourism products. So examples include sports tourism, health tourism, eco-tourism, right? Those are examples of non-traditional tourism products. Good. Next part says, describe 2 factors that contribute to the development of tourism in the Caribbean. Describe 2 factors that contribute to the development of tourism in the Caribbean. 2 factors that contribute to development in tourism in the Caribbean is the accessibility of the country. Many Caribbean countries have now expanded accessibility to tourists. So airports have been modernized, right? So bigger planes can come in, more planes can actually come in, right? They have also expanded seaports, right? So cruise ship can come in, and large cruise ships can be accommodated. For example, in Jamaica, we have the Falmouth Pier, right? That accommodates a lot of cruise ships, usually on a daily basis. But because of COVID-19 now, then you know everything has been reduced, right? Another factor is education and training, right? This is educating and training the locals to meet the demand of the industry. This has provided a well-qualified and highly trained staff to man tourist facilities. This is especially important since the industry is based on services being performed and demand, right? How well your staff is trained will determine if you will get repeat tourist or not, right? It asks for 2, but I'm just going to throw some more out there and you can actually discuss them, right? Investment in infrastructure, the level of safety and security, marketing and promotion, competitive pricing, and diversifying tourism. Those are other factors that have helped with the growth of tourism in the Caribbean. All right, so now we are on to the final part of the question. So this is a two-part finale, right? So it says, suggest giving full details, 3 ways in which tourism entities in the region can use the internet to increase tourist arrivals. Then you are going to justify those ways. How can they use the internet? Number one reason is to use the internet as a marketing tool, right? This is going to be important because as a business, you have to put yourself out there so people can be aware of your offerings. Because remember that tourism is a very diverse product, right? And people are branching off into non-traditional tourism products now. So if you have something that you think caters to the needs of tourists, you have to put yourself out there, and nothing is more powerful right now than the internet, right? So people can actually be browsing and they see your thing pop up. They can type in your name and the name of your business, and your website comes up with what you offer, where you are located. So marketing is a very powerful tool, right? Another way in which they can use the internet is to offer their bookings online, especially with live online agents, not just the computer, because sometimes when you're typing in, you might make a mistake or you might need clarity. But when you have just the computer there's nobody to talk to. But when you have live online agents, people can actually interact with those persons and get questions answered and concerns addressed. This is going to be successful because we are in an internet age where almost everything is done online, and people can do this in the convenience of their homes, not only at their homes, but they can be on the road in their cars, right, in their supermarket, and just booking online on their cell phones, right, and paying with their credit card instead of walking into a travel agency or calling a travel agency over the phone. So online is very convenient to the potential tourist, right? Another way is that they can offer discounts or special packages online. This is likely to be successful because if persons know that if they book online, then now they can get a special discount or a special package, then people are more likely to want to book online, right? And when they're booking online, your company or your agents that you have working for you can try to sell them other things, like put other things onto the package. You understand? So instead of just coming to the hotel and staying in the hotel for the period, sell them a tour, right? So you get a percentage. So for example, you have Running Red Resort, right? And tours. A person wants to book online, you're giving them a special discount. Would they want to book online for the resort? You put on the tour as well. You put the tour to them, that is, and then offer them a special discount and packaging in a way make them feel like they're getting a good deal. Understand? So those are the answers to these questions. If you have other answers that you think might work, you can also put them in the comment section. So thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And also remember to go over to my other YouTube channel, that's Corythensis on YouTube, and also subscribe and watch those videos. Thank you guys. Goodbye. Goodbye.